It's a long one. So I'm a UI UX designer at Safaricom. I recently transitioned to this role from a position as a BI analyst. So I'm pretty new. So I'm excited to learn more things. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eva. Yeah, and also everyone who has joined us. Yeah, you're welcome to our launch of the GameChangers UI UX Bootcamp. So we have our speaker with us, Glorious Wianzi. Yeah, and before I welcome her, like us to have some ground rules. So let's make sure we have muted our mics. Yeah, so let's make sure our mics are on mute so that we don't interrupt the speaker. And yeah, if you have any question, you can type it at the chat section. When the speaker gives a chance to ask questions, you can ask. Yes. So with us, we have Glorious Wianzi. Yeah, she's a product manager at Twiga Foods. Yes, and I'd like to welcome her to take us through this session.
So today, give me a sec. Oh God. Okay. So today we are going to look at UX leading and UX non-existent, and I'd like us to start by having anyone in the call right now try and tell us what you understand by this heading here, and or when you read it, what did you think we are going to discuss today? Yeah, I love getting people's perspectives and ideas, and I'd like us to start at that point where I want to understand what you understand by this topic or this heading: UX leading versus UX non-existent. I can't see if anyone is raising their hand. So Luke, could you kindly just mention anyone whose hand is up at the moment if they're raising?
I'm not sure if it's only from my side, but we can't see the slide.
You can't see the slide.
I cannot see it.
Okay.
I can see.
Okay.
Okay, so I think it's only from my side. Yeah, it's okay now. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe it was a delay. I'm sorry about that. There's no one raising their hand. Look, you can see it now, right?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Just to mention, though, I know this is the bootcamp is meant to take us through. Mandela will cover that, but I'm hoping that most of us in the call at least have an idea of what UX is. So I don't want this to be a normal UX call where we're talking about UX is this, UI is this. I feel like there's a lot of content online that could help us. If we don't understand what UX is, we can easily Google and understand that. So I just want us to to give our view, or just I want to hear from you what this meant to you when you read it. Let me give you like a minute maybe just to think about it, and then Luke, you can tell me if anyone is raising their hand and you can pick up from there. Just a minute. Yeah, so that's 5:21. We're not going to, okay, we'll proceed when at least two people say something, but at 5:21 I'd like to hear from you guys. I hope you're thinking at least about what I've asked.
I think team, I don't know if team is trying to say something. Team. Okay.
Okay. Has anyone raised their hand? I repeat my question. Yeah, I'd like to get your view, or I'd like to hear from you what you understand from the topic of today's call, UX leading versus UX non-existent. What came to mind when you read that topic? Or when you look at the slide right now, what does that mean to you? Okay. Uh, okay. So, Luke, I'd really appreciate if you could give me feedback so I don't have to come back and forth to Teams.
Yeah, Collins Kinsey, you can unmute your mic and answer. Collins.
Oh, hi everyone.
Hi, Collins.
Hello, hope you can hear me.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, if I understand correctly, UX is all about the user experience. So we are mostly dealing with what a user sees when they're interacting with the platform. Let's say if you're interacting with, say, M-Pesa, the interface you're seeing, that is the user experience. So how you interact with it, the first way it is interactive with you, either if it's slow, if it's fast, if it's inconvenience to you. So everything that involves the interaction between you and that interface is what I think this UX leading and UX non-existence come to mind when I read this.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Collins. Anyone else wants to give it a try? Maybe we'll give one more person and then we can jump into it. Look, I still need your help. So,
Okay.
Can I say something?
James. Yeah. Okay, James. James Aduke, you can unmute.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
yes, you can, James.
To me, from just reading the heading, I think UX leading, maybe we are talking about a product that has been made with user experience in mind. So it's made with the user in mind, but UX non-existent is just, there's no user in mind. It's just maybe, for example, a product that has just been made on just like that without thinking about the user.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Collins was the first one. I hope I got your name right. You definitely got the meaning of UX, but as far as this topic is concerned, UX leading and UX non-existent, James got it right in terms of what this means is we're going to use a sample company that use UX, and then we're going to see the impact of that, right? And then also non-existent is the situation where a company that does UX research, they have UX researchers, and then they carry out the research, they do interviews, they have qualitative data being collected, they analyze their users, they do all that, but they take the research and then just shelve it somewhere else. So it's like a document where if someone asks the company, do you have user researchers, they'll say yes, we do. Actually, there was research that was done, you can read about it, but then the research is not actually being used to inform the decisions in the business, right? And then also there's a scenario where the company hears about UX, but then they're not adopting, or they're not hiring a UXer, or even if they do hire this UXer, they're just there, but they're not doing the actual job that they're required to, because maybe they're getting backlash from the organization, or maybe the business that does not still understand their need and the importance, right? And then now we look at a business or a company that embraces UX, and the maturity is at a level where everyone sees value, they do research, and the research actually informs the decisions that they make on the UI. So that's what we're going to look at today. So thanks, James. Thanks, Collins, for giving it a try. yeah, that's what our topic is going to be about. Yeah, I'm going to let me tell you a story first before we jump into it. So there's a company, say company A, that has decided they want to expand. First, let me tell you a story about this picture and why I placed it here. So this was one time when we were carrying out user interviews and going around hospitals in Kenya trying to get people's feedback about the system that we had built and how they were adopting to it or using it, right? The system had been in use for 5 years in different hospitals to track patient data, so that when you're a patient in Eldoret and you now relocate to Nairobi, all you have to do is to go to a hospital and your previous data or medical record is pulled up, and then now a doctor gets like an overview of everything about you. They don't literally have to ask you about it. They can ask you for clarification, but the detail is there as well, just for them to read, right? So that's what we were doing, just going around, carrying out a lot of user interviews, filling out questionnaires, and at this time it was around 7 p.m. So I chose this picture because UX at the beginning of the process is usually a mess, at least for me. There's a lot of data to be analyzed, and most times you find that we don't find value in it because it's chaos and we don't know how to analyze it. And the beauty of this boot camp is that we're going to now teach you, or rather teach you how to carry user interviews, how to ask the right questions, because it's very important how to ask the right questions, because a lot of times you find that you carry out interviews and then users give you feedback that is not true. Yeah. Let me give you a brief example, because you have like 2 hours. Let me give you an example of a time when I carried out user research, and I was on a call with a participant, two participants, for an hour. Yeah. So we are speaking with these users. We want to see how they're using our system, our model. We want to see where we can improve the process and all that. So we speak to them, and then they are telling us that they have used the app and it works perfectly fine. And then towards the end of the call, I asked them again, could you kindly share your screen and walk me through how you solve the how you use the app? I'm trying not to get into details about what the app does, but so we asked them, how do you use the app? Let me just say, to like report incidents. Walk me through that. You have shared your screen. Kindly walk me through that. So they share their screen and then they get stuck. They tell me, to be honest, Vianzi, we don't use this app. Yeah. So at that point, as a user researcher, you start to wonder, is it that I did not ask the right questions? Or how is it that for an entire 1 hour, like the period was 1 hour, we had the call for 1 hour, to supposed to be a 1 hour, 30 minutes call. So for 1 hour, our users had this had mapped out the entire process of how that particular module worked, and we felt like we were collecting meaningful feedback, right? But when it gets to the end, our users start getting honest, because you have asked them. I kept on asking them, how do you do it, how do you do it, over and over, until they got to a point where lying was not an option anymore. So they just had to come clean and say they have no idea how to use the module. They have never used it. So as a UX researcher, once you keep on interviewing people, you get to a point where you analyze, or you're able to see loopholes, or you're able to see your users having what? You can tell from the way they're speaking, from the feedback they're giving you, that the data you're collecting might not be accurate. So that's why towards the end, I insisted on them showing me how they solve that, or they use that particular module. And if I hadn't developed the skill of asking the right questions the right way, and had the ability to relate with users at a level where they can now be honest and tell me, hey, I haven't used this. I could have collected the data that would have informed our decision, yet that would have been an incorrect feedback being given to the rest of the team, right? So this bootcamp is going to help you take you through the entire process of UX research. You're going to work on projects and all that. So I don't want to go into details on what the bootcamp is about. Winnie will handle that. So to jump right in, now that I've already explained why I use this picture, it's messy, but that's exactly how UX looks like at the beginning, because even just aligning on a problem and knowing what you're solving for, you'd be amazed how you feel like you're all aligned on a problem, and then when you start implementing, the designer has done their own things, your user story is different, you're not aligned, right? And you've already wasted time and resources working on whatever you're now presenting at that point. Yeah, so before we go to the next slide, we are going to look at a company that expanded to China. Yeah, this company expanded to China, and then it did not put UX at the center of everything. So before we continue with the session, I want to get your perspective, or I want to hear from you what you think is important to know about your users when you're expanding. For example, we're going to use a scenario where a company is expanding to explain this topic. So just to repeat, if you haven't gotten the question, a company is expanding. What do you think they should have at the back of their minds when they're expanding to help them before they launch this product? Look, I'd need you at this point as well to just tell me if anyone is raising their hand. What do you need to consider? If maybe your business has been successful in Kenya and you want to go to Nigeria now, what should you consider? What do you think should be considered? And as you're thinking about that, oh, nice. Thank you. So look, you're becoming very unreliable. So we are going to do this. I can see the people are raising their hands. Mukeli, let's start from you. Just unmute and tell me what you think.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think the first thing is just to articulate the user demographics and then go from there.
Okay. Could you kindly tell us what you mean by demographics?
Basically, user demographics. Sorry?
And why it's important to consider that?
You need to basically say, like, you're talking about a specific user. You need to know where they're coming from, their background, their age, how they interact with different stuff. Basically, it's a whole like highlighting the user as a persona.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Let me hear from everyone else before I give my opinion. So Clement. Thanks, Mukeli. Clement?
Sorry?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So what I would say is before maybe expanding your business to that other place, you would maybe know first the beliefs and maybe the culture of those people you're going to maybe invest or put your business in. Maybe that their beliefs or culture doesn't allow to maybe deal with your products or buy your products or even request for your services.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Thanks, Clement. Eve, maybe we'll take from two more and then we can wrap up that session. Eve?
Thanks, Glorious. So I think one of the other important things is to conduct a competitor analysis for the next place that you're going to, because you don't know what similar products are already established. You also don't know what similar products are probably similar to yours already. So like in Safaricom's context, a foreign telecommunication company would find it probably hard to come establish in Kenya because we have Safaricom and it's we've kind of established ourselves in scale. So that's pretty hard to compete with. So those are one of the things that you need to look at is a competitor analysis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where can you carry out the analysis? And
Ooh, that's a big one. Because you're doing a competitor analysis for a whole market. And if it's foreign, then guess you just have to go and do market research. I know for such things, like most of the times it's outsourced to agencies that specialize in exactly this. Um, yeah. So it's a big one. I'll be interested to learn also how, by the way.
well, a good
Competitor.
point to start. Thanks,
Yeah.
Eve. Thanks, Eve. So a good place to start would also be Google in case your company doesn't have doesn't have resources to invest in a third party to do the analysis for you. You can definitely go online and just Google the companies that are doing something similar to what you're doing, either directly or indirectly, and then from there you can always pick it up. So that's a good place to start. And thank you for bringing that up. It's most people don't usually analyze the market before they come in, and then they come in and they realize, oh, siko peke yangu. Yeah, we are like an entire village building the same thing. Or it's this scenario where you come up with an idea in your sleep and you're like, this is the most brilliant thing anyone has ever thought of. This is my idea that's gonna make me like a billionaire. And then you go to Google. There's this one time I literally had this idea. It was 3 a.m. and I had this amazing, I can't remember what it was about. Yes, I remember it was supposed to be an app for the elderly. I love design, that's evident. So I wanted to design something for the elderly. It's my passion. I would be really happy if before I die, we are all gonna die anyway. So before I die, if I get to work on a project that is tied, not really tied, but is solving a problem for the elderly. I find it very interesting, and I find them a very interesting group of people to study. And the next session, actually, we are going to cover ways of how to design for them. So I was trying to see how I can come up with an app that is doing something like that. Just I wasn't going to work on it. I was just going to do the UI and then do like a case study on it and publish it. Then I wake up at 3 a.m. You can imagine. I start Googling to see if my idea is the only one in the market. And then it turns out, yes, there are a couple of things already existing. So it's very important for us to do a quick Google search. That's a quick way to start as well, or to just ask around. Yeah. So yeah, thanks you, Mary. Hi, Mary. You can go ahead and unmute and let's hear from you.
Hi team, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can, Mary.
So I wanted to talk or to say about user. What are the goals that those users or those customers you want to bring your business to want to achieve?
Mm-hmm. The
Yes.
goals they want to achieve.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the
Yes.
problem they are trying to solve.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So all of you are right, definitely. So before you expand, there are a lot of things you need to consider. One thing we have to put in mind is human beings think differently, experience life and the world in general differently, and our mental models are different based on what you've gone through at every given point, right? So what works in Kenya will not work. Okay, it might work, but it wouldn't like be, how should I put it? It shouldn't make you think that if you're successful in Kenya, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're going to be successful in the US or in SA, right? There are a lot of you have to. This is what I think. Every time you're expanding to a new region, treat your business as a startup and start from there. So start to think that we have not existed. These humans are different, yeah. They experience problems differently. They literally analyze or solve problems differently or interact with software differently. So you're supposed to listen to them, and then now in when you're working on your solution, you're basing every given feature or whatever you're suggesting based on actual data, not just what you think. Even Mukele, I see your hand is up. Do you have anything else to add? Eve? Okay. Okay. Sorry if you see me looking on the side. I'm looking at my tablet. Not my tablet, it's a joke, it's a laptop. So I'm trying to see when people are raising their hand. Sorry about that. Yeah. So company A. Company A decides to expand to China, and we're going to look at a couple of things. What the hell is this? That game? So we're going to look at a couple of things that they did, why they did them, why we feel they did that, and we're going to analyze and see what they could have done better, right? So this company goes and expands, or they decide, well, we have been very successful in the US, let's go to China. And then they do not analyze the users in China, or they do not try and understand them and get their view on how the product should work and things like that. So the first thing they did is they launched the product, and then they allowed people to pay using only the US credit card support. Like that was the only way you could pay, right? So why do you think this was? Anyone had Mukeli? Could you kindly mute yourself? Yeah. So this was something they did bad, or wrong rather, and I'd like to get your view on why them to launch in China. Remember, China is what we're using as a case study, right? So they launched in China using and allowed users to pay using only the US credit card. So anyone, things to have in mind or consider right now is that this business was operating in the US, and then now it comes to China, and then now they're only allowing people to pay using the US credit cards alone. So anyone has, the entire session is going to be engaging. Like I want to hear from you as well. Yes, Joseph.
Hi everyone. So I think that was like a big, huge problem they did. Since like in China they also like kind of accept digital wallet, so they could have also put that like an option. Putting just one option to do the payment would kind of like limit the number of people who kind of use that specific solution.
Mhm. Thank you. So one thing to keep in mind is this particular company actually, let's say, claimed. I'm not in I wasn't in the company, so I'm not sure if they actually did research, or they did it and it was shelved, right? So they claim they did research, but somehow when they did the researchers failed to, I'm sure it's not the fault of the researchers anyway, but I'm just saying they fail to recognize that a vast majority of people in China use WePay and Alipay, right? That's what they use as a mode of payment. So if you're going to say you're launching in the US and then you decide that people should only use what has been used in America, is it that you interviewed your friends, or you simply jumped on a call with a couple of people you knew that were in China and asked them, oh, how do you make your payments? Like this was I don't know why they feel like this was good, because it's as easy as just allowing users to now pay with the options that they are used to already, right? It's like Twiga. Let me use Twiga because Twiga is a very good company, so why not? So it's like Twiga expanding to Nigeria, and then they decide that they're going to allow users to make payments using M-Pesa, right? I'm not even sure if Nigeria has M-Pesa. I know of Abeg as one of the platforms they use, but not M-Pesa. So why are you forcing users to pay using M-Pesa? And if I don't have M-Pesa, it means that you don't want me to use your product. Yeah. So that was a big fail, according to me. The second thing that I felt they did wrong is they did not consider all scenarios and analyze loopholes. This is one thing. Let me fast forward to another section I wanted to cover later on. As much as we are saying that UX is important and it should be carried out, it is important and it should be carried out. Sometimes it is done and a process is mapped out correctly, or not really correctly, but it's mapped out and it's like there's nothing wrong that can happen. Yeah, these users will be satisfied with the experience. But then you find that users adapt, or they are irrational beings and they end up just making decisions contrary to what the product is allowing them to do, right? Let me give you an example. So there was a time when I booked an Uber, and then it the driver decided to start the process where they were coming from, as opposed to by the time they were supposed to get where I was and then pick me and then start the ride. That's how Uber works. Yeah. But then they start the ride when they're very fast. Say I'm in, let me just say I'm in Nakuru. For those who can relate, I'm sorry. So I'm in Nakuru and then I order an Uber ride to go to Nairobi. No, I order an Uber ride and then the driver is in Nairobi. So they call me and then they say they're coming, but they start the ride from Nairobi. So that means as a user, I'll end up paying a lot of money because this user started the trip way before they actually got to me. So that is wrong, right? So this is not how the product has been mapped out to work, right? Uber had envisioned the product or the driver to come and meet the user and then start the process, right? But then these drivers have become intelligent, right? Because I am very sorry about this title. It's actually bugging me on this slide. I don't know why I missed it. It's supposed to be Game Changers UX Design Bootcamp. I don't know where these other words just came in from nowhere, but I'm sorry about that. It keeps on bugging me. So yeah, as I was saying, Uber had mapped out the process to start from the point where the driver and the the rider, like the person who's ordered the ride, when they meet, that's when the trip should start. But then the driver has decided to start from somewhere else, meaning me as a user, I'll have a terrible experience because I'll have to pay more, right? So at this point, what Uber would, this is what I'm thinking of right now at the top of my head. A solution that could work is there's already a loophole. This system was mapped out, let's say perfectly, right? The UX has did their job, but then users, as we just come up with unique ways of earning extra cash, right? So how I can envision it, or how I think about it right now at the top of my head at least, is you see that message where Uber sends you a message and says, hey, Vianzi, I've arrived, right? What if there was a button there that prompts me to now start the trip? Not really start the trip, but to key in the OTP, like a one-time password. You key it in, and then that's what initiates the ride to start from the driver's point, right? And as I'm thinking right now, as I'm saying that, there's something that has come to my mind. You see, that's one problem we are solving, a problem where I don't want to pay extra because the rider has started the trip before meeting me. That's the problem we started thinking about solving, right? But at the end of the day, another problem can be solved where you jump into the wrong, you see how maybe you're in a hurry and then you just see a vehicle and you see, I ordered an Uber, that must be my ride, and then you jump into it and the driver does not even ask you maybe what your name and where you're going. They just feel like you wouldn't have been in the vehicle if you're not going where they're supposed to be going, right? So if a ride cannot start unless the user, me, who ordered the ride, keys in the one-time password, then it means we have solved two problems. And that's the amazing thing about UX. When you choose to concentrate on a minority, let's call them minority, but like a small group of users, you end up solving a problem or end up building a solution that works for almost everyone, I'd say. Yeah. And that's also something we're going to cover in our next session, a very interesting topic. I'm just saying that I hope you find it interesting. It's interesting to me. Yeah. So let's go back to point 2 where we have said company A failed to consider all scenarios and analyze loopholes. So this company goes to China and then you know what they decide to do? They decide they're going to give, oh my goodness, it's going to be very evident what the company is when I mention this by here. So company A goes to China and then they decide they're going to give free promotional rights to every new person that joins the platform. So every single person that wants to use that app, they get a free ride for their first ride, no matter where you're going. So when you get a free ride, the driver gets compensated the money, but you get to from point A to point B without paying anything, right? So can anyone tell me why this can be considered a failure? Why did I feel like it was a loophole that I needed to analyze? Anyone has a rough idea why having free promotional rights was a good thing because anyway it's motivating users, and there's a principle that says that before users start to trust you, give them something free, let them start engaging on your platform, and then if they love the experience they'll buy into your idea, right? That's already a principle. But then, as I said, human beings keep on changing, evolving, and coming up with smart ways of solving their own problems, right? They need extra cash. So I've even given you like an idea of why there was a loophole. But yes, I see Murungi. Could you kindly unmute and tell us? Go ahead, Murungi. We can't hear you if you're speaking. Okay. As we wait, is there anyone else who... Murungi, did you want to say something? Because we can't hear you, but you're unmuted. Go ahead, please. Try again. Okay. Maybe we can have Prince first, and then you could try again. Just check on your audio and see what's up, and then you can speak. Prince, I think Prince, your hand was up. Was it a mistake? Okay. Anyone else have an idea why this second point could have been? Yes, Ndirito.
The said company A
Mm-hmm.
also tried that strategy in Nigeria for free rides.
Mm-hmm.
So humans, as you said, are very, very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And they would collude to create with two SIM cards, create two users, one as a driver, one as a passenger, initiate a ride and end it without actually going to the ride. Then they'd get the free trip or the reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one loophole. That's the main one I can think of on free rides.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah.
Anything else?
No, no, no.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michael. Actually, you have told my story. You have told my story, and it's like you already know the company I'm speaking. I'm trying to, um, I'm
Yeah,
speaking about. Don't say it. Don't say
I
it.
won't. I won't. I won't.
Okay, good. Let's hear from Johari. Let's hear from you, and then one more person maybe, and then we can go on. Johari, go ahead and unmute.
Uh, Good evening.
Good evening to you as well.
So yeah, just to add on what Michael has said, when a company is trying to give products like a free trial or that type of promotion where they want a user to experience the product so that they can buy and they're doing it for free, in places like Kenya, you might find that now the users are creating multiple accounts just to access the service for free, and it will end up hurting the company, and they will not achieve their goal of just trying to put their product out there and get to buy the customers rather than being conned and getting free service which doesn't benefit the company in any way. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Johari. So, I think well, thank you, thank you. So I think we've all witnessed as this revolution where companies are taking losses so that they can create habits in users. Yeah, calculated losses. But I believe this company really outdid itself. It was like, you know what, we have billions. Yeah, we have billions, and everyone will take free ride. You want a free ride, take it. You want a free ride. Like everywhere, you just get to point A to point B. It's okay if you give like 30%, 40%, because now look at the example that Michael gave. It was the same one I was going to give. I don't have anything to do on a Saturday, so I decide, hey, my friend Bethany has a car, right? Let's go on a ride. Let her create an account as a driver, and then I'll be the passenger. And then we don't even have money for food, right? And then I'm like, don't worry, Bethany. You know what we'll do? We'll use Fuliza and then get on this and get on Uber. Get from say Nairobi to Mombasa. I'm not sure if can an Uber get from Nairobi to Mombasa. Okay, get from point A to point B, and then we can do that the entire day, and then we get reimbursed the money, and then we get money for food, right? So that's what. And then the weirdest thing is that at this point, when company A was analyzing the adoption in particular cities, they felt like they had very high reception because the number of trips they were getting and the number of users, both drivers and the riders, they were onboarding was equivalent to almost the same amount that they were getting in the USA at in like some cities. So they were like, you know what, this thing is working. Let's keep on doing it. And by the time they realized that um people are actually using what, like using one phone and multiple SIM cards, it was now like a business, when by the time they realized that, they had lost a lot of money. They had literally lost a lot of money. So it's very important for you to analyze your users and see how they behave. I'm about to use a very, let's say, for example, there's a village. Let me use a village. Let's say, for example, there's a village that is known for being crafty and people being, coming up with ways of just committing fraud. So you as a company, you decide to think that these users only commit fraud in other businesses and it won't work for you. You're supposed to try and look at the users you're interacting with. If there is research showing that particular users are fraudulent, or they keep on just doing funny nice things to make weird things, not nice, weird things to make money, best believe they'll do the same in your company. Don't go all in and invest a lot of money. Even if your product is very nice, just don't. You'll end up getting like a lot of losses. The company actually lost over 1 billion in a year alone, so that was a lot. Yeah. And then do you know what they did? Let me go to point 4 before we get to point 3. So point 4, to cap this, by the time they realized, they decide, you know what you're going to do. Can someone guess what they did? Anyone other than Diritu and Johar. Oh God, I'm really sorry. I didn't get your first name. It was a bit complicated, and your second name just skipped me. Anyone but the ones who have just spoken earlier, kindly tell me why you think they faced unnecessary lawsuits from Apple, this company. What do you think they did to curb the scamming that was going on, where now users were using the same phone and then multiple SIM cards? Anyone?
Can I go?
Who's speaking? Yes, Ronnie, you can.
Okay, so sure. Uber did a sorry, I just named
Oh
them
my
Uber.
goodness. Why did you have to do
I'm
that?
sorry, I'm sorry. So Apple is very like really serious about privacy,
Mhm,
and this particular company, so they started reducing their like getting private information about the phone.
mhm,
There's a device ID, serial number, so they will check if this particular device ID has been used to like register, so they block it. So that issue with Apple because we are not supposed to use this. Like
mhm,
they claim like a clever way to use it, but it's not open for everybody.
mhm. Yes, yes. Thank you, Ronnie. And it's not the company he has mentioned. I don't know why he got that idea anyway. So, company A decides exactly as Ronnie has said. They decide to hire hackers, because We have to bypass these Apple laws. At that time, Apple was hiding email, so there was no way for them to know if this particular phone had already been used to register as a user, right? So they decide we're going to bypass it. And even as Apple decides, you know what, let's have a meeting. You guys are not doing good by us. Let's have so they decide they have a meeting and they tell this company, please stop doing this. But who is this company? The company decided they'll continue doing it. So they end up facing lawsuits. You see, they are facing lawsuits, losing money. They are offering free rides, losing money. They are not getting a lot of users because what? They're using the wrong payment method. Okay, it's right as well, but a payment method that's not allowing all users to be on the platform, right? So they are making a chain of small mistakes that they could have avoided. Let me not say they didn't do user research. Maybe they did, but it did not inform the decisions they made when they were rolling out, right? Let's just put it that way. Okay, so back to point 3. Introduce an app that highly relied on Google Maps. Remember, the case study is in China. So why do you think this was not the right approach? Michael, I see your hand is up. Is it an old hand? Michael?
Oh, it
Okay.
was an old hand, but
But
can I answer?
you can start and then you can have Mbeke and then Jason Jabez. Okay. Michael, go ahead.
Okay, so Google products in China are banned.
Mm-hmm.
So if your app depends on them, it's going to be very tricky
Mm-hmm.
to be used, because since for that company, maps is a very important feature.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your users can't access it, it, it's going to be tricky. Though there's a Google Maps for China,
Mm-hmm.
which was, I don't think it's one that they used at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Mbeke? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, so
Hey.
it's Ambeke. Yeah, it's Google, but it's in China.
Sorry?
They used Google, but it was later banned in China.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Jabez?
Nini, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
My point was already said. It's about Nini, how Google products are banned in China. So
Mm-hmm.
they had to consider that, or find at least another counterpart to Google, or even make their own that will
Mm-hmm.
help with running the app.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. At this point, does anyone have anything else to add on the points that you have mentioned before we continue to the next slide? Anything else you feel like we have left out on this point, or you just feel like saying hi to everyone for whatever reason? Let's treat this like a physical class. Okay. It's okay not to have anything to say as well, actually. So yeah, let's continue. Company A again. Okay. So let's use the image that is there. That is 4.5. Just look at the image and then tell me what you think was wrong with it and how they could have done better. Okay, let's not look at this session as a point where we're saying this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. Because remember, I feel like it's not right for designers or creatives or anyone in general to criticize other people's work. I'm sure there was research that went into this, but this backfired for them, right? So I just want to understand, or I want to hear your point of view on why you think that wasn't right for them to do, to have that process as it is right now, like for their onboarding, not really onboarding, yeah, but for onboarding when they're creating the account, users were required to, when they're reading the copy, the UX copy, it's like in English and in Chinese. Yes, is it Chinese or Japanese? Yeah, one of those, right? So why do you think that was wrong? Murungi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. I think they were wrong to assume that everyone in China understands English. So that assumption that everyone can read and understand, I don't think they did adequate research on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you think they could have done differently? What do you think they could have done differently, Murugi? Do you have visibility on that? Or are
So,
we
come again? I had lost you for a moment.
okay? Sorry about that. I'm asking, what do you think they could have done differently? You've said that they assumed users in China understood English. So what could they have done contrary to what they did?
They could have had like the initial landing page could have been Chinese, and then there would have been like a button for change language or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the languages would have been separate. There's a button to choose the language you are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And it's very funny because I feel like a lot of times we speak about this or we mention this, and then we just, when products are being implemented, it's totally different. Like, why can't we just allow users to choose the language they're comfortable in? Don't force issues. I'm not saying they're forcing issues. I'm not criticizing this company, right? That's one thing I try not to do. That's why even when I say if I make a post saying between design A and design B, it will be me giving my point of view, but you won't see me saying at you, this company should have done this company should have done this. Because come to I feel like it's very disrespectful when you do that, because look at it this way. This is an entire organization with money to hire highly skilled individuals to do this research, and then you with your freelancer setup in your house, you think that you have done enough research for these users and you don't even know their users. I find it very disrespectful. So this session today, don't take it like I'm saying these companies, the UXers in these companies are not doing good. They should be fired and we should be hired instead. That is a wrong way to look at it. We're just learning from this company. That's entirely what we're doing. So yeah, thanks Murugi. Do you want to add anything else, or we can move to someone else who has a different something else to add? I see your hand is okay, cool. So let's go to anyone else. Okay, let's go to Ali. Okay, let's just have Ali and then Collins. Sorry. Okay. Ali then? Okay, no one. Okay, Ali. Okay.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, my colleague there just said it all in terms of the fact that you're going into a country that mainly uses Chinese for nearly everything that they do. And plus, even the teaching, they teach in Chinese as well. So obviously, you would expect to have that as a default, default language in whatever product that you're trying to push out, and then give them a chance to maybe turn to another language if they feel comfortable with, let's say, Swahili or English, right? And that is something that was not put into consideration, or maybe was and then shot down. You never know in these cases, because obviously people have to make decisions, after sitting down and having a discussion. But yeah, that's my cue on that front.
Yeah, thank you for saying, thank you for mentioning that bit where in China also lessons are taught in Chinese. I had actually overlooked that as well. But come to think of it, I feel like, in my view, this is now arrogant. Why are you trying to force English on people? But anyway, my view, totally my view, not based on research. Maybe they did research on a couple of people and they decided it's a mixture of both English and, goodness, did I just say English? English and Chinese, yeah? Sorry about that. So like they did the research and they decided, you know what, let's factor for both of them, and how will you do it? Let's mix it up, right? Because a lot of times the only, at least for me, the only place I see languages being mixed is in like posters or graphics for advertisements, stuff like that. But rarely seen that in UX. Just choose your struggle, which one are you going with. So yeah, thank you, Ali. Mukeli.
Just to emphasize, I think they were correct, only that it worked uh, to their maybe to not to their benefit, but I feel like they did use it graphics, and majority speak Mandarin, so they decided to go with Mandarin. So how it worked against them, I don't think we should blame the UXs. I think it's just a matter of market diversity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, we're not blaming UXs actually. We're just learning, or we're trying. I'm trying to get people's point of view. But thank you for saying that. So Mukeli, this is Mandarin. It's not even Chinese. What you are viewing
I
right
think
now.
so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. Cool. At least I almost said we have learned that, but I don't think I'll recognize this and see it different from Chinese when I see it next. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Um, so I still see your hand up. Do you have something else to add, or we can go ahead and continue? Okay, cool. What else? Forced users to adopt to unfamiliar long processes. Okay. So this one doesn't. I don't think there's enough to go by, or enough for us to understand what they did based on that text. But I'll just talk about it anyway. So in China, a lot of the apps ask users based on users postcodes. You're able to, God, sorry. Based on users postcodes, you're able to sign up and then capture the. Beckett, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I think I was about to say the same point as you.
Sorry.
I was about to say this the same point. So in China, most of the apps are by invitation. So you invite someone, someone joins an app by invitation, but so in this case, they used a US way of signing up. So it was not necessarily a long process, but it seemed long to the people around.
Thank you. I actually did not know that bit, so thank you for bringing it up. We have very intelligent people in this call. I'm curious to know whether we are mid-level UXers or beginner UXers and all that, but I guess we'll get to interact throughout the entire session, the entire bootcamp session. But thank you for saying that, Becca. I didn't know that. So the point I wanted to mention here was based on the when they're capturing with this particular app, when they were capturing the user's location, they needed the users to key in the country they're at, and then the region they're operating in, and then you now go and capture the name of the building and then the apartment number, right? So that they can do deliveries for you, food deliveries for you, right? And then but most apps in China, what happens is that they use users' postcodes to gather like the country info and the country info and the region where you're from, right? Like if it's Kenya and then Nairobi, they capture that based on your postcode, and then from there the only thing you're keying in is your building number and apartment. So users were used to that and they felt like it was shorter, right? It's just two input fields, but you'll be surprised how users, most of us, or is it just me, who are lazy, and if I was born knowing that you're going to pick my location based on my postcode, and then now something else comes in, like a new product comes in, and then new fields are introduced, and I'm not used to that process, I will see it as long. So yeah, the Chinese felt like that was long for them, and they would more or less most times abandon the task and the app altogether at that point because it was long according to them. Yeah. So yeah, as Mbeke said, it is not ideally long, but to these users it is, because as we said, users are different and we think different and we engage with products differently. Cool. So the sixth one is fail to guide users when errors occurred. This happens a lot even nowadays with most of the apps. So it's not like I don't need to talk much about it, but I'll just mention the one, what the for this use case, like for this particular app. So this particular app, when someone is signing in, they key in Kwanza. There's sorry for putting in Kwanza for those who don't understand Swahili. So they required. I haven't done research on this bit, so maybe the next session I will give you an overview or background on why this is the case. I guess it's tied to the culture of people. But so what happens is that in China, people are used to the format where when they're capturing their first name and last name, they start with last name and then first name. And the US way, it's usually first name and then last name, right? And not the other way around. So these particular users, I'm actually curious to know why it was important for them. Because for me, I don't mind if when I'm capturing my data, I don't mind if whichever goes first, especially for this app. I don't know why it was important for them to capture or why it is important which one comes first. So what happens is the users, they would capture, they're used to the usual apps where they're capturing the last name and then the first name. So they come to this product, that's what they do. They capture the last name and then the first name, and then they go on and capture all this other information. And then so they get to the end and realize that's an error because it's they were supposed to like put the first name first and then the last name, right? So they go and change that. I don't know why it was important for that, but I'll do research and get back to you on that. Get back to whoever will be interested anyway. For me, I find like it's interesting because I don't mind what you call me. As long as it's my name, I think I mind. But anyway, let's get back to the point. So when they were keying in the first name, last name, and all that, there was also an input field that required the users to key in additional information. So if you submit that data and you haven't keyed in the additional information, you would get an error where you are not allowed to submit that detail until you do capture that additional information. But they were not telling users which additional information it is that you want, right? Because if I've already given you my building number, my house number, my country, my region, and my first name and last name, what else do you need? Tell me what you need. The app was not telling the users what they needed, and they felt like that was a fail. Yeah, they felt like that was a fail, right? Okay, cool. So, anyone else has anything to add on this particular slide? Yes, Mukeli, you're actually becoming one of my favorite guests.
I think what they were trying to do is doing a KYC, know your customer, and they really wanted to break ground fast enough just to make sure they really know the user that they're working with. But they made several assumptions that this is TMI, too much information, and done some Google Analytics on the app, said that they noticed that the user is dropping off or doing some disengaging to some point, and realized that earlier in advance, vis-a-vis later.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Mukeli. Are you still speaking? Okay, Margaret, you can go ahead. Just give me a minute. Let me just turn on my lights. Sorry, just give me a minute. I turn on my lights. Sorry for that. Okay, go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, so I would say it's very important to test any assumptions that you might have before you launch the product. And also, it's important to consider accessibility in your design. Yeah, so for example, giving users multiple of opportunities, for example, like languages to choose from, that is inclusive design. Yeah. So.
Thanks for mentioning the bit about testing assumptions. This is actually very important, and it has reminded me. Let me give you a scenario. I find it very interesting. So, for example, let's say you're a business in Kenya and you want to expand to, say, Uganda, right? You want to expand to Uganda, and then you are selling products in large quantity, right? You're selling, what are you selling? What are you selling? Let's just say they're selling products in large quantities, right? Um, Here in Kenya, that's what our users are consuming. They buy products in large quantity. That's how they consume our products. But when you go to Uganda, you decide, you know what? We're not going to do user research because we don't have money for it. Yeah, we don't have enough resources. So you decide you're going to roll out this product and start selling in Uganda in the same magnitude you are selling, right? So if it was, let me just say, a crate of soda in Kenya, people buy crates of soda, for example. Let's say people buy crates of soda here in Kenya, and then on our website, when you're selling these products, it's still a crate of soda, right? That's what we are selling. But when you go to Uganda, if we don't do user research, you find that maybe people in Uganda don't consume that much like that much drinks, or like they won't buy a crate but they will buy a single crate, right? Now, do you know how this informs your decision when you're designing? This means you're going to have to split this particular SKU into smaller bits, meaning if it's a crate, now you're going to sell them in single bottles, as opposed to now the entire crate that you are selling earlier on, right? So that's why user research is important, given the example that Margaret said, testing assumptions. So you're coming from Kenya and you're saying you're going to Uganda. Let's see, how are users consuming the products you're selling, and are they even consuming the products you're selling? That's also very important, right? Because you just can't come with products from Dubai and you're selling hijabs there and it's a hit and you're a millionaire selling hijabs, right? And then you come to Kenya and they're like, people will buy hijabs as well. You're supposed to see the products that they're used to and how they consume it, and then now adopt that and in like make the changes you need to on your UI and on your product in general. So yeah, which point was that we were discussing? Goodness, I lost my thought process. But goodness. Okay. I think we can go on to the next slide. Oh, thank you. It's the next slide. Okay. Cool. So, this is 6:23. Right now we want to do a quick exercise. I just want to get your view on the products that you use. Yes, I'm actually trying to pronounce your name. Sorry.
Okay. Before doing uh, I was just thinking. I feel like all this would have been, yeah, money, but all this would have been avoided if they had done user
Sorry.
testing before they launched the product.
Sorry, I don't know if it's just on my end. I can't hear you clearly.
I want so a soul. Want? I see a stranger in your eyes where I want so a soul.
Sorry? Is someone saying something? Chindarata, you can. I didn't quite hear you, so could you come up again, please?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that I think all this would have been avoided if they had done user testing.
Uh-huh. Okay. Um, I still didn't hear you quite clearly, but I think you're trying to say that all this could have been avoided if user testing was carried out. Is that it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Um, Anyone else has anything to say regarding the session, the short session we've had? There, I wanted the session to be engaging. That's why I didn't put a lot of content on the slide. But the next bit is going to be, I would like to get your views on the apps that you interact with. And since we are all UXers, or we want to come into UX, I want to hear from you what you think works in your favorite app. And I want it to be engaging for the next many minutes, 20 minutes. You're going to do that for 20 minutes. And then after that, we're going to have Winnie coming and taking us through the entire bootcamp overview or what you'll be covering during the entire bootcamp. Yes. Yes, Rose.
I want just thank you. I just wanted to ask more about the bootcamp issue, and I think Winnie will be coming up to give us more input. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else has anything to say before we start talking about our favorite apps now? Okay, so I'll go first. Let me just take 5 minutes because I feel like maybe we have taken a lot of time and also, yeah.
Glorious. Ronnie had his hands raised.
Okay.
Ronnie.
No, I think let Glorious go first, then I will go later.
No, Ronnie, you can go ahead. It's fine.
No, I want to talk about what I like about particular app that I use, and
Yeah, then
you go
let's
first.
talk about
Okay.
it. Okay.
I think one thing that people normally overlook is the feedback. Users need feedback, and the app that I use, I really appreciate if developers really take time into this and show that maybe you click on this, you did this, and it just feels nice that there's that kind of feedback. Apart from that, okay, I look much of UI, UX, and everything, but sometimes I feel like um, developers are also kind of limited on how to do some things, and operating system also need to change a bit more on how developers can make some things work like intuitively or something like that. So yeah, that's mine.
Yes, Ronnie, that is very important. Giving feedback in UIs is very important for any particular user. Even that's why even in interviews, if you're a recruiter and if there's any recruiter here, give people feedback, please. It helps, and it even if the feedback is you're rejected, speak to someone. As human beings, by default, we like to feel important and needed. And making someone feel less by not giving them feedback after they invested that time is not good. So give people feedback, as Ronnie has said. But I haven't gotten the bit where you've mentioned about your favorite app. Which app is that? Is it a feedback app? And what is it called?
No, not like I have favorite app. Like I like apps that give feedback, things like that. I think that's where many developers like overlook, and it's a nice thing. And also app that make use of animation is it's just nice.
Yeah. True. I hear you. Um, anyone else? But before someone goes and mentions like their favorite app, I've remembered something. I turned off my camera because I realized I was shining. I hope it's less. So uh, yeah, maybe that's still look bad. But anyway, so I've remembered something as well about this particular app that you are talking about, App A, right? In when it went to China. So another thing they did is feedback. Yeah, you mentioned feedback, and that's why I remembered it. So what happens is that in China, people are used to getting instant feedback. They're used to chatbots. They're used to making phone calls to get their feedback. But when it came to this particular app A, no, company A, what they did is they required users to do emails, right? So um, again, I'm trying to put it out there so that we remember we are not judging these companies and their UX team. We're just learning from it. So company A decides they want people to write emails when they have issues to raise. That is totally fine. Maybe that worked in the US where people are more corporate, but this other side, emails were only used in businesses and in informal settings, and now you're requiring your users to write you an email to tell you that their fare was high or something like that. It actually back that particular bit backfired on them because users felt like most of the apps got instant feedback through chatbots, and or they got like access to actually call someone and speak to them. So that's also something you have to consider, that users, whether you want to like it or not, are different, because people in US like writing emails for whatever reason that is them, and it will not work in like everywhere else. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that since you said something about feedback. People in China felt like the feedback, the turnover for the issues they raised was a bit slow, and it was too hectic to even report. Even for me, if you tell me that I have to write an email, okay, unless it's going to like result in money in my bank account, if I need to be reimbursed for something, I'll write it. Otherwise, just to report that someone was rude, I feel like that's something I wouldn't do. So yeah. uh I think it was Mbeka. I can't remember. I saw someone's hand up. So yes, Mbeke. Sorry, I said Mbeka. Sorry.
Oh, hi. It's Becky. Um, so the app that I like, I think that was a question.
Yes.
So I like, I think first would be an app called Tasty. It's basically about tasty, tasty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a recipe app,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not any regular recipe app. It allows you to so you know how you go on a website and you look for a recipe for something, and then they just give you a recipe and then it says it serves 4 people or 3 people. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't make for 3 people, you maybe need to make for 10 people. So in this tasty app, it allows you to add the quantity in terms of add the number of people. So once you add the number of people, it modifies the recipe for the number of people you are.
Mm-hmm.
You can and deduct the number of people to be one person. So it will give you a recipe for one person. So that's one of it. Second is Pinterest because of how they do the layouts. And a few years ago, Pinterest didn't have short videos, those
It
reels,
didn't have
almost like
what?
Instagram. The Instagram, it's short videos like the Instagram reels.
Mm-hmm.
So they incorporated. I'm not sure when, but it really makes sense. If you're doing something DIY, you'd be able to see the short process or the process in a short video. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I like what you've said at the end about the reels being introduced. That's the good thing about product. A product can never be fully fledged, no matter what anyone will say at it, this is the list of all the features we need to implement for our product to be considered highly functional. At some point you'll find that just new needs keep on coming, and if as a business you're not going to adopt and now incorporate all these new changes that users want, you find that they will now go and stick to maybe Instagram because they have the reels there, right? For whatever reason they'll choose another product that is incorporating it. So the beauty of product is that it's continuously going, and needs keep on arising at each given point, and products product managers, or even just anyone in product team, they need to keep on adapting, looking at what users like from different platforms, incorporating that if they see a need. Because as you've mentioned as well, Mbeke, I think you've said this it made sense, because if you're making a DIY, a video makes sense. So maybe they didn't think about it at that point, but the fact that they brought it in simply means that they are open to feedback and issues, and or they're open to analyzing their users as they're adopting, and now make changes based on what is needed, or what is yeah. So thank you. Next we have Peter.
Hi, Buyanzi.
Hi, Peter.
So my favorite app.
Mm-hmm.
So I like music and I use this basically every day. So it's Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
The features that I like most are the fact that it can predict a song. When I play just one song, it can play the next song based on the vibe of the previous song.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is personalized playlists. Like every day, there's a daily mix, which I don't have to take part in, but they form them and they classify them based on different vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Then the third one, or my favorite, is the one where when you create a playlist and you scroll at the bottom there, they show you suggestions of other songs with that vibe that you can add to that playlist, which makes creating playlists very, very enjoyable. So those are the three features I enjoy most about Spotify, and I also like the general user experience of the app. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I like what you said about the bit about personalization, right? That's something that's very important. And you find that as much as we keep on saying, oh, personalize your site, personalize or make your product uh, based on like a particular user, like just learn about your users and keep on building on top of what you already learned, like that, right? You find like most products don't really do that as much as it's something that has been going on and we've been talking about it over and over. It's still not done and there's much to be done. But I'm reminded or I'm thinking, I'm not sure if it is, I'm not sure if Uber Eats right now can personalize the food they show me best if I'm African. Maybe they just show me African dishes unless I'm interested to see all those other foods. Because for me, now you see, this is me as one particular user, and it's not good to make judgment or make decisions based on one user. But I'm saying me as a user, I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to trying new foods. I'll always go for the ones I'm used to. You always find me on Uber Eats eating, funnily enough, githeri, ordering chapati beans, ordering just those funny things, right? I'm not saying I don't eat sushis, right? I do, but I would love to simply be shown food that is more African because I love African dishes most. So yeah, personalization is very important, and thank you for bringing that up, Peter. So we have Mukeli. You can go ahead.
I like two apps. One, TikTok, and I like the way they reinvented themselves. They actually went under and then reinvented themselves and became a big ass app. And then I like WhatsApp because there's so much potential that I think Facebook is looking into. And I really like to see how they work on those potential needs because with 1 billion users, I believe they can compete with WeChat from from China. And I think that taking that sweet time.
Mhm. Here's the thing. On the last bit you've said about taking sweet time, I believe personally, I'm a strong believer that if it's going to take you a couple more weeks or a couple more months to perfect a process, then do it. It's better than rolling out a product that you're not sure of. So if it means it's the same case as you see how people say have less clicks. This is my belief. Again, this is me, right? Reduce the number of clicks and all that. But if the number of clicks you're adding is going to help a user to get to the solution they want faster, say it helps with personalization, for instance. So what this means is someone comes to your app if it's a what? Let me use no what let me use Uber for now, right? So maybe for instance I want only to view food that is African or for food from where Nigeria, like traditional things like that. If when setting up I'm being asked do you want, which type of food are you interested in, I mentioned that and stuff like that. If that process is going to help me to only view what I love, then I think it's users will appreciate it if the process or the step is added. It's not just a matter of reducing steps. Minimalism, and people mistake minimalism for putting a lot of empty state and actually showcasing products that are not really functional, if you're being honest. Because you find a UI is so clean, but then if you start to look at it in depth, it's not really solving a lot of problem. Maybe it's just solving a problem for one particular user. It's not looking at a scenario of all the use cases. For instance, it's not looking at that. Okay, you can never cover all the use cases, but try to cover most use cases. And when that is considered, it's almost not certain, or it's not all. It's You will rarely find at least the designs that I see being posted around. They are so clean with a lot of white space, which is good. We need white space, but if you look at, I'm actually on LinkedIn because I was googling. I love looking up people and I'm interacting with, and I was looking up Mukele because I feel like she has been very active, and I'm trying to see, okay, what does she do, right? So I'm on LinkedIn right now, and I'm seeing that there is white space, but a lot of features are there as well. It's not just a matter of treating users' needs as an afterthought and putting a lot of space because it now looks beautiful, solve problems for everyone. So yeah, thanks, Peter. I'm not sure if it was Peter or Mukeli. Can we go ahead to Joseph? Yeah.
Hi, so I kind of like love two apps. The first one is Twitter, and to be specific, make the future love about Twitter is threads. So subdividing a story into threads, it's kind of refreshing and allows users to kind of digest content easily, and therefore that's a conversion of a user staying on the app for longer times. The second app is YouTube, and to be specific, I love the feature on Shorts. Kind of shortening all the videos into like 1 minute or 30-second video. It's still refreshing. You're able to view as many videos as possible within a very short time. So yeah, those are the two apps that I kind of like and the features.
Thanks, Joseph. Let's move faster now because I see we don't have much time. We can go to Kimberly and then Kimberly Murugi and then let's Johari. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Kim.
For sure. My current best app has to be Google Calendar. Then because it solves a lot of my problems at the moment because I tend to have a lot of meetings, catching up on a lot of I can hear an echo. Sorry, catching up on a lot of boot camps. So I like the fact that I can actually add someone else's calendar to my calendar and have it side by side with mine so I can know when they are busy or when they're not busy because it shows me it's blocked. So sometimes it gives me an easier time of trying to schedule meetings around other people's schedules. Also, I love the fact that I don't have to, for example, I'm scheduling a meeting with my friends or my teammates. I don't have to send each one of them an invite when I schedule a meeting and add them as guests and put the option of send an email. It sends to all of them. So that makes my work very easier. Also, I can schedule reminders and tasks aside from events. And I think the only challenge I'm having with it is sometimes I schedule tasks, but sometimes I'm not near my phone or my laptop. So I sometimes it actually reminds me, but I don't get to see the reminder early enough. So I don't know if they could put, I don't know if it's there, but I've never noticed it. If they could do an alert, like I'd say, even probably like an alarm, that I have to switch off to show that I've remembered or I've seen it. Yeah.
Could you come again about what you've mentioned about the reminders? I didn't quite get you. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm saying that's the only challenge I have with it is sometimes I don't get to actually see the reminders because it just comes up as a pop-up on my phone or on my laptop. So I think I need something more rigorous. Like you see the way you set an alarm at 6 a.m. and it rings until you honestly can rarely miss an alarm. You'll hear it. So I think that's the challenge I'm having. Just comes up as a pop-up and sometimes I'm not even near my phone, so I'll not get to see the reminder. Something. Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure it's not your phone that's a setting on your phone?
I'm not sure, but I'm yet to hear of someone who gets such loud reminders.
But the reason I wanted you to repeat what you said about reminders is how I wanted to say something about UX can only do to a certain extent. And sometimes, let me use this example. Say I have a reminder and I've set and said at 8 p.m. I want to take my drugs, right? So at 8 p.m. the reminder will go off and I'll get the notification, right? Once I get the notification, I'm supposed to take my drugs. But what happens in the scenario when I get the notification, sorry, and I'm on the road, for instance, and I'm not anywhere near my house to take the drugs. The system has worked as it should and as expected. But the thing is, there are a lot of things happening, and I cannot always tell where I'm supposed to be. So at this point, you find that UX has played its bit. The system has gone off. No, the reminder has gone off. It has reminded you, but you're on the road. So at this point, even that reminder is not helpful. So I was trying to look at, this is my view, right? I was trying to look at a scenario where now the reminder has gone off. Maybe it should check your your location. If you usually take your drug around maybe your house, you get notified and you're told, Vianzi, I see that you're nowhere near your house. Do you have your drugs with you? If it's yes, then it means I'll take them when I'm on the vehicle. But if I don't have my drugs with me, maybe I can say, if I say no, I say, remind me again in an hour. So that by the time maybe in an hour I've estimated I won't be on traffic anymore, I'll be in the house and they'll be able to take my drugs. So I just thought I should mention that because I it was an interesting thing I was thinking about. Yeah, so we can go to Murungi and then Johari and then we can finish up with Margaret.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah,
we
so
can.
I think my favorite app is YouTube
Mm-hmm.
because recently I noticed it's a very easy to use app. I have a cousin who is 8 years old and she can comfortably operate the app.
Mm-hmm.
And the main feature she likes is the microphone feature.
Mm-hmm.
So when she taps on that button, she says Cocomelon or Akili Kids, and it searches for that, and it's quite accurate. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great feature. It includes very many people. So even if you're searching for a video which is not in English,
Mm-hmm.
I think it can try and recognize whatever language you are using.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me not comment at this point. Let's finish up with everyone else because I see we are running short of time. Let's go to Johari. Thank you, Murungi, once again.
Um, this is Johari. Okay, for my favorite app, I would go with two. First is Spotify because I love music and I just love how the user interface is designed. First of all, it's very dynamic. They don't have like uh, a static theme. Every day you log in, you find like they're using different colors. I feel like the designers at Spotify really work hard. Um, and then the personalization, the way they recommend to you content is very unique. I think the algorithms are very accurate. Um, and I like how they have incorporated the feature of listening to music while you can view the lyrics of the songs. Yeah, like you'll find songs which have been uploaded on Spotify. Almost all of them have their lyrics. I think that's what they use to to match the algorithms. And another app that I find it has a really good experience is Google Assistant. Yeah, I I've tried to use Google Assistant and compare it with the Siri Assistant, and I think Google Assistant it gives you feedback in a way that you can feel you're not interacting to a machine, but it has some personality. Tell Google Assistant, tell me a joke. It says a joke and adds maybe an emoji or a sound effect after the joke, and it just feels so realistic. And when I was looking at the other competitor, the Siri app, you could ask it something like, "Are you my friend?" and probably tells you like, "Sorry, I cannot have what type of like certain relationship because I'm a human, I'm a machine." But when you ask similar questions to Google, it really acts like you're talking to a person, and I think that's a really good user experience. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Johari. Let's finish up with Margaret, and then we can have Winnie coming in and wrapping up the session by telling us everything about the bootcamp in general. Sorry, Winnie, you have taken too much.
Yeah. So I like M-Pesa, the new M-Pesa app. I find it's not so overwhelming, the homepage, and yet it's very useful. Like I'm able to see the flow of my money, what comes in, what goes out. I'm able to pull out a statement as well. And also, like, if someone requests money, one is able to accomplish or complete that task just by the click of one button, as opposed to, maybe you've forgotten someone's number, you have to input the number and all that. So for me, functionality is very key. The app might be very beautiful and everything, but if it's not functional or useful, then it really doesn't make sense. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mentioning an app that we can. I haven't used Spotify. I've always wanted to check it out, but I'm like, I don't know. I'll check it out though. So thank you for that, Margaret. At this point, I want to thank you all for being a very engaging audience. I really appreciate it. And I tell you, the reason I thought it would be nice to hear your views about the apps you like is that's actually a question that is usually asked. Not usually, yes, I'll say most time. You're usually asked that in product design roles. You're asked to mention an app that you like, what you love about it, what you don't love about it. So that's why I thought this particular session will be very helpful, because you try and see how the apps that are existing or the ones you're using, how you can improve them based on your views. Si kuchoma choma watu huko social media ati sijui A and B, not that. Just like analyzing an app at a point where from a point where you're trying to learn from the challenges they're facing, or how they're solving a problem, and giving your own view. That's the best way to go about it. Not criticizing as if you could do better when you're given the opportunity. That's not a good way to do it. So at this point, I would like to invite Winnie to tell us more about what the bootcamp is about. Winnie, I am very sorry. We have very little time, but I think the time has been amazing. At least at this point, you can continue thinking about your favorite app, and so that when the question comes, it's not like you're going to be prepared about what to answer, but it comes more naturally now. Yeah, it's like you're now having a conversation.
Kila mtu anakuja na maneno yake. Mlipata warembo hamtoi oda haraka, si ndio? Angalia mara.
Let's see. Can I mute someone? Okay, Winnie, are you in a position to jump on the call? If you're not, I
Hi,
can.
Glorious. Yes.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi, yes, I'm in a position to jump.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for the awesome talk. I've been receiving some feedback via my LinkedIn account, and people saying the presentation was awesome. So good job. Kudos.
Thank you.
Okay. So good evening, everyone from Kenya, anyone from India or any other place where you are. In Kenya, it's evening, so good evening. So my full name is Winnie Mandela, and I'm the one who will be coordinating the bootcamp. So in the building, we have my fellow coordinators, where one is Glorious Vianci, the other one is Luki Biku. Maybe they can raise their hands for me to see them. And also we have Devi Mwangi. I'm not sure if he's in the call. Yeah, but those are the 4 people who will be helping you through the whole bootcamp process. Yeah, and so the bootcamp is going to take 2 months. Yeah, basically from this month until next month, June. We shall be having 2 classes per week. That is, one of the classes will be happening on Tuesday, and another class will be happening on Thursday. Each class will be roughly 2 hours. Then each class will be roughly 2 hours. Then each class will be roughly 2 hours. Then each sessions will be beginning at 8 p.m. East African time, unless the speaker says that he won't be available at 8. Can we start at 9? But we'll be giving the communication. And then for the sessions that will be covered during the week, you guys will be receiving a notification latest by Sunday. So, for example, like the next coming week, the notifications will be sent tomorrow to your emails or via the Slack channel. So any of us, either Luke, Vianzi, or Dave is going to send the email to your emails. Yeah, the email is going to have the link to the session and also the name of the session. Yes, and then during the whole bootcamp, you guys will be working on one project. like that. For example, if it's a to-do app, so all the speakers will be training you guys how to make a to-do app from scratch until to the end, but it will be through a process of UI UX. But no worries, it's not a to-do app. We'll give you the app that you guys will be making on Monday, on Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday. I hope you guys can hear me. Okay. Then, yeah. So as I was saying, we are going to be Did anyone speak? Okay. As I was saying, yeah, so since the bootcamp is going to be 2 months, for you to graduate from the bootcamp, you guys will have to participate in a project, which shall give you guys a 4 theme areas to work on, whereby you shall pick. Then you're going to work on the projects as a group. So you guys will be grouped. Then you'll be given 4 themes. You guys will have to select one theme and as a group come up with a solution and start the idea process and do everything concerning the UI UX. Yeah. So we are going to award the first, second, and the third group during the project presentation, which will be on the final week. So on the 8th week of the bootcamp, that's where we shall be submitting the projects, and also the project shall be presented. If all goes well, the project might be presented physically. Yeah, we'll communicate the venue. Yeah, and something else I haven't said. All communications will be done via the Slack. So I hope everyone who registered has been added to the Slack channel. If not, please do reach out to either me or Luke or Fianzi or Glorious, and then we'll share with you the link. Then, yeah, all classes will happen via Teams. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if I've left anything out. Luke and Gloria, you can tell me. Or if you have any question, you can drop them in the chat. Or if I've talked too fast, you can also say. Any question?
Murungi?
Hi, how will you access are the sessions being recorded?
Yes, the sessions are being recorded.
Yeah. How will you access the recordings?
So I think the recordings of the week shall be sent at the end of the week, so most probably on Friday, so that we can share both Tuesday and Thursday's recording.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Rose?
Rose.
Thank you very much, Gloria and Winnie. I have a question. How do I get
Go
to
ahead.
join the if I get that earlier?
Pardon, how do you?
How do I get to join the bootcamp if I not registered earlier?
Hmm. Look, can you answer that? Look.
Sorry, I haven't gotten the question. Kindly repeat.
She's inquiring how can she join the bootcamp if she hasn't registered.
Okay, so probably I can share the link to the Slack. That's okay. Just a minute. Yeah, I'll share it in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, Rose, I hope you answered. Anyone else with a question? I guess we can. Ephraim?
Hi, hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you're audible enough.
But we can't access the chats as guests.
So about the Slack channel, and I'm not very well acquainted with it. So I'm still wondering how is it possible for us? We just type the the name of the organization, then you're going to see the link. I don't really get it. I hadn't registered earlier. I had not registered earlier, and the answer to the answer to Rose's question was about how to get the link, and they said the link could be gotten from Slack, but I'm not so familiar with Slack, so I don't know how I'm going to get the link through Slack. If I can get any advice on that.
Okay, can you see our chat? If I type something like, hey, can you access our chat? Yeah, on Teams.
No, we
I
can't
can't able
see
to
the chat.
that.
Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You'll reach out to me via my LinkedIn account, Winnie Mandela, and then just tell me you're in the bootcamp, and I'll share with you the link. Is that okay?
Okay.
To everyone who is a guest. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
For me, too. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome. Okay. Anyone else with any question? Yes, Felix. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Okay, Felix, I can't hear what you're saying, so I think I'm going to choose Okiado to speak.
Hi everyone. I'm having a problem also with Slack. And mine is not that I can access the link. I got the link, but I'm trying to access it via my phone and via my laptop, and both are telling me they are incompatible with the new version. And I'm like, can we use email to make the most important maybe announcement so that I don't miss up, or if there's an alternative, then it's gonna be good for me.
My apologies. You are somehow in a noisy background, but if I heard you right, that you cannot access the link because it's of a more higher version of Slack.
Yeah.
Did he say yes? Okay. I'll assume that's the problem. As for that, I'm not sure on how I can advise you. I'll have to look on that. Maybe you can try upgrading Slack. If it doesn't happen, then I'll add you to the Teams channel. Okay, I'm not sure if I answered your question. Okay, yeah. Okay, he's okay. Flo?
Hi, I hope you can hear me. Mine is more of a request. I dropped off the call when you were talking about the project will be done in groups. So kindly, if there is anything else you said, I'm just requesting if you can please repeat it for me, because that's where the call was dropped.
Okay, sure. I'll repeat. So I said you guys will be kept into groups depending on the number of participants we have. So I can't really affirm that we're going to have groups of 4, groups of 5. It will depend with how many people will be in the bootcamp by then. And then we are going to give you 4 themes, and then you'll have to select a theme and come up with a project in that area. Then we are going to award the top 3 groups, that is position 1, first runners up, and the second runners up. And then I also said all communication will be done through Slack. be done in Slack, and all classes will be done in Teams. Yeah, that's what I said.
Thank you.
That's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, welcome. And then you have, hey, you have a hard name, Shirish.
It's not that hard. But thanks,
Sorry.
Winnie. I just ask you. I received your email. Basically just
Yes.
stating that's been invited for the bootcamp, and I think this is a
Yes.
similar issue to one of the other person who just talked sometime back, regarding the Slack channel. But in my case,
Yes.
like as I click on the link right now, it's telling me the link is no longer active, and basically someone who invited me needs to send me a new link to access again.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else has that issue.
Okay, so
Yeah,
my apologies for
the
everyone who
same.
is having. Okay, my apologies for everyone who is having an issue with the Slack link. If you had registered, Bootcamp, like registered via the form, I invited you guys personally, like took your emails and then sent a link directly via the Slack. So I don't know if you have gotten. If you haven't gotten, I'd still suggest that you just link up with me via LinkedIn, Winima, and then I'll send you the link. You can send me your email to be more precise so that I can just add you to the Slack channel, if that's okay with you.
Okay, fine. That's okay. But just a suggestion, like also how the other guy just suggested, can like important emails also be communicated via email? Just because I think what you need to download the Slack app and then you get notifications for every time you post. Is that how it works?
Okay. Noted. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Margaret.
You mentioned that top 3 participants are going to be awarded, so I was just curious to know what that would be.
My apologies, but for now we can't disclose what the awards are going to be. But once we are in around week 5, week 7, yes, we'll tell you what the awards are going to be. So for now, just ensure you have a study buddy and you're more. For now, ensure that you have a study buddy and you're more inclined into everything that's happening in boot camp. Yeah, is that okay? It's actually a surprise. Yeah, Margaret, is it okay?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yes, Glorious. Weird.
Yeah, I realized that a lot of us have a lot of questions, and I'm not sure if everyone is okay to listen in on all the issues. It's like there's a lot of issues. So I don't know if it will make sense if we add like a channel on Slack first for those who have access to Slack to raise those issues there. And then for those who don't, maybe we can drop our social handles. Winnie, you can drop yours and they can reach out. Because I don't want this bootcamp. I feel like this bootcamp should make people feel like it's going to be 2 hours. It's 2 hours. It's stick on time. It's also good to teach people time management. So I see already 9 minutes past time. So if it's okay first with everyone else, then we can go ahead and keep on answering the questions you guys have. If not, then we can definitely use Slack, maybe have a question and answer Slack channel, or we reach out to social media if you don't have access to Slack. That's just a suggestion, Winnie.
Okay, so since we have democracy here, what did the other members say? Do you guys agree? If you agree, I think you can raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So I've shared the link. I hope you can see my screen. So that's the link to the Slack channel. So yeah, you can join using that. I hope it's visible.
Yes, it's visible. As a CS, I can see majority of the people have raised up their hands. So then I think that's it. So if you have any, if you're not in the Slack channel, please reach out to me via LinkedIn. Yeah, end of today, you should be in the Slack channel, or you can join via the link that is being portrayed on the screen. If not, you can reach out to me. If you have any other question, yeah, you can put them in the channel in Slack. It's going to be concerns. Yeah. Thank you. I wish you guys success.
One last
I
thing
look.
before
I
we
take
end.
it back. Okay. Yes.
Sorry for cutting you short. So I feel like a lot of times people are scared to like post and share things about what they're learning and things like that. I think it's very important for you to like create a name for yourself, or just to build a community for yourself where you can freely share what you're learning, and so that other people can learn as well. So I would advise, or I would tell us, if you feel like you've learned anything throughout the entire session, after the session, just tweet about it, or I don't know, make a LinkedIn post about what you've learned and things like that, so that others can learn, and also you as well. I think it's also beneficial, because even when we now start working on the case study, it would be nice if you now share it with people and get feedback also from the general design community, and not just from us and our mentors. Because as we said, you're going to have like a session where mentors will be judging the project live and giving feedback, but it would be good if you now start also just talking about what you're learning throughout the entire process. Just wanted to say that. At this point, then we need back to you, and I guess we'll be ending. And thanks for joining once again and being a very engaging group of people. Thank you.
I also don't have anything much to say. Maybe I think I'll give it back to Luke and we can end the session. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Glorious and Winnie, everyone who joined us. Yeah, so if you haven't joined the Slack, you can join. So for those who don't know how to use Slack, we'll be sharing it over there on how to use it. Yes, so I think that's all. Yeah, you can live at your own pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Yeah,
Look,
goodbye.
apologies. Before they leave, there's somebody who said they cannot access the Slack link due to our Slack being at a higher version. Is it possible we can connect me on LinkedIn? Yeah, I would love to help you. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Really?
Thank you.
What in profile?
Yes.
Bye bye. What in profile? Hello, Winnie.
Hello. Yes.
What is your LinkedIn?
Oh, Winnie Mandela. Winnie Mandela with an avatar of a cartoon. Yeah, Winnie Mandela.
What?
It has a banner with
Oh,
coffee
okay.
with Maddie. Yeah.
I wrote you.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Winnie.
Hello.
So is joining the Slack channel sign up or is there anything?
Okay, so since people hadn't registered, I think I will resend another form for us to get your contact details so that it will be much easier for us to communicate more in person. Yeah, so once you have joined the Slack channel, you're already in the bootcamp. Yeah, now you just have to make sure that you are on toes with every challenge and projects and competitions we'll be giving you guys. Yeah, and sessions.
So you'll send the channel, the link to the phone.
Yes, I will send it in the Slack. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Winnie.
Hello, yes.
I'm the one who was having problems with the version of Slack.